Wir finden das zusammen raus, was er da macht. Ich frage mich, ob er nackt darunter ist. Wieso macht er das? Okay, super viele wünschen sich I did a thing. Da machen wir einfach mal hier. Ich suche einfach mal eins aus. I made the world's most powerful hammer. Let's go. Jetzt wird so ein weirdes Video wieder.
How you going?
Hi.
I'm still in lockdown, and I'm bored, really bored. So bored, I've been finding ways to make mundane activities more of a challenge and dangerous. But so far, haven't found anything exciting enough. But then I saw the expert.
Warte, Digga, was ist denn los mit ihm?
Mexicans. So today, I'm gonna make my version of their hammer.
Ist das so ein Casual Mexiko-Ding? Ach du Scheiße.
Now, some of you probably already...
Ist das ein Hammer mit einer Kanonenkugel drin? Also mit so einer... Ich check
You know, I'm not the first to copy the Mexicans with explosive hammers, and an Australian company, Ramset, beat me to it, making this, which is used to drive nails through brick and metal. And I could just buy one of these, but look at that price, $1,000. I'm definitely better off making my own. So, the first thing I did was buy a $2,000 lathe.
Das ist einfach eine Waffe.
Okay, so this is my plan. I've collected all the scrap metal in my house.
Der verletzt sich doch noch.
Which I reckon I can combine to make this. It's pretty simple, just a block of metal in two pieces with a swivel point here. Then you put the nail inside with a charge behind it, and when I hit the nail here, it moves back and hopefully sets off the charge, firing the...
Ich hätte bei sowas so Schiss, mit Patronen zu arbeiten, dass es irgendwie an der Seite rausspringt und dich einfach trifft und du bist dead.
nail out the end.
But why? Das ist eine gute Frage. Kannst du die Mexikaner fragen, warum die sowas erfinden?
And some of you might recognize some similarities between this and stuff made here's baseball bat. But look,
Das war auch krass mit dem Baseballbat.
he's allowed to copy my steel-toed croc video and make it much better, then I'm allowed to copy his video and make it much worse. And that's my idea. But I don't actually think I have the skills to make this, since this is my first
Total simpel, kann jetzt schon nicht mehr folgen. Fühle
time
dich.
using a lathe, and so far I've only made this. So hopefully making the hammer is similar. And unlike this, which is made from round bar and fits in the 3-jaw chuck, I'm using square bar for the hammer, which doesn't fit. So either I add another jaw on the side, or use this for
So
4-jaw
random.
chuck. And this sounds like an easy solution, but when you put material in a 4-jaw chuck like this, it needs to be centered using one of these. And I hate
Ich verstehe diese Maschine nicht. Was macht die?
I always avoid it, but now, thanks to this tool, I have the ability to tell how unprecise I am, accurate to 1/100th of a millimeter. This is dumb. I feel like nothing I do makes any sense. I hit this side, and now this side has moved in. And then I turn this thing, and now the whole thing's the wrong way.
Ich fühle ihn. So präzise Sachen sind manchmal so ein Headpain.
But
So ein
after
Headpain.
mucking around with it,
Ey, auch beim Löten, ich bin halt richtig scheiße im Löten, aber bei so einem Mikrochip-Löten ist auch immer so, ja, ich habe einen Kontaktpunkt fertig, dann mache ich den nächsten, dann fließt das Löt, verbindet sich wieder und alles ist im Arsch.
for ages, I seem to have gotten the piece, so I brought in the tool to do a cut across the face.
Er schneidet Metall scheinbar. Wir finden das zusammen raus, was er da macht.
And lathing is a lot of fun and really makes you feel like a man with a big manly tool, mainly because it allows me to finally grow facial hair.
Das schneidet doch. Oh nee!
And that facing cut
Warum?
feels pretty smooth. And after comparing it to my face, it's much more flat.
Wieso macht er das?
Okay, now I'm going to drill a hole in the center of the block. And this is the scary part, as if it's not centered, all the machinists watching will make fun of me.
Corona-Test, ja. Er macht das auch noch barfuß. Die Mucke. Geil. Die Mucke. Ich frage mich, ob er nackt darunter ist. Was denkt ihr? Der Typ ist ein bisschen verrückt, ja. Warum barfuß? Ich weiß es nicht. Metallspäne im Fuß machen Spaß. Ah, die Musik ist aus.
And this sucks. If I can't get the drill bit out, I'm gonna have to start all over. I tried yanking it out by turning the lathe on while holding the other part still, and even tried putting it in the freezer with diced mangoes, which always helps me relax and shrink in size. But nothing worked. But then I had a genius idea. I grinded some flats on the side of the drill bit and used this wrench to attempt to turn it out. Yeah. Which worked, but I still need to make the hole a little larger. And I've decided from now on, I should definitely use a safer approach and
Einfach ein Kondom.
use a
Oh
dummy and
Mann!
some lubricant.
Alter. Ach Gott.
And I'm pretty sure the lathe isn't meant to be making this noise. So I just put on some ear protection to fix the noise, and that looks pretty good, and the blank also fits.
That's pretty perfect.
Nice.
Okay, the hole is done and seems to be in the center. So I just cut the tip off using the world's most unpleasant tool,
Alter, die Funken, yo.
and then decided I had had enough of staring at these blanks and wanted to see what actually happens if I just hit one with a hammer.
3, 2, 1. Yes!
And now without ear protection for some reason.
3, 2, 1.
Oh, laute Scheiße.
And I don't know why I did that. My ears are literally still ringing while recording this. But I
Boah, das muss so
still
laut sein.
decided I want to see what happens if I hit it again, but
Don't try this at home,
this
kids.
time with a nail on top. So I put the nail in, then place the blank underneath. And it's very important I do this in that order so I don't accidentally set off the blank and die. Then I hit it as hard as I could.
2, 1.
And nothing.
Nichts passiert.
And again. This time I placed a sharper point behind the blank. And still nothing. And then I tried placing the blank on flat metal and also clamping the device so it doesn't fall onto the ground and then point towards me.
3, 2, 1.
Da ist ein Baby im Hintergrund, wieso? Wow! Alter, da kam er Funken geflogen, Junge. Guck dir das mal an. Überall einfach Funken.
God, what the?
Oh.
Holy
Aber meint ihr, das explodiert so bei dem wie bei den Mexikanern?
Where did the nail?
Zum Glück gar nicht gefährlich. Der scheiß Nagel ist in der Decke. Stell dir vor, was er für eine Durchschlagskraft hat, wenn er irgendwie auf deinen Arm oder dein Gesicht trifft. Yo! Oh nee,
Oh,
Bruder.
that is
Weiß ich nicht. Weiß ich nicht.
Terrifying.
Weiß ich nicht, Bro.
I cannot believe that these say they are weak. I am so glad I didn't buy the strong ones. Let's check upstairs and see if that did any damage.
Nein, 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 nein.
And that works a little too well, which might be my fault, as I spent an hour like a sweatshop worker machining like 100 nails down until I had an airtight fit in the hole of the hammer. And I'm really starting to think I should make myself like a Kevlar apron or something to protect my innards. If for some reason anyone watching has some Kevlar they don't want that they want to send me, hit me up. Okay, moving on with the build, I need to make a hinge between the two pieces.
So verrückt, Alter.
So I decided to
Der
just
ist so
use a
verrückt.
store-bought hinge, which will attach to the bottom of some flat bar like this. And now it's time for something else I've never done, which is use this tap and die set to create threads in metal. But first, I thought I'd better read the instructions very, very carefully to make sure I don't die. Then, once it was kind of together, I realized a potential problem with my design, which was that the round could go off when I closed the hinge. Which it didn't, so I set it off with a stick once again.
Ich will jedes Mal so die Pumpe gehen bei so einem Test. Weil du kannst halt einfach bei jedem Test sterben, theoretisch einfach. Boah, Junge.
Oh my god. It's too
Lebensgefährlich.
powerful, so went straight through.
Ist er wieder in der Decke? Nein! Ah, Junge! Oh, der macht mich fertig. Dem geht's gar nicht
Let's go
gut.
check upstairs again.
Oh, Junge.
What?
And that works great, but I still decided to swap the hinge out for a more beefy one, which I took from the door of this cabinet. And I like this thing. It's like I'm holding a badly rendered pistol. Now I need to decide on the locks that hold the pieces together. And at first I was going to go with this kind of artistic wanky lock, but I don't actually think it would hold together with the extreme forces on the hammer. So I went with this sturdier one. Then once I tap and not died the rest of the holes, I've essentially got the finished thing. Except it looks really ugly. And after looking online at other kinds of hammers and other stuff, I found this by Adam Savage, which I'm going to take slight inspiration from.
Shiny!
And after all that grinding, I was curious as to how much metal I had actually lost. So I measured it, and strangely, I gained around 1 centimeter. Then I
Weil der Finger da drin war.
cleaned up the other pieces using my sick tech deck skills from my childhood. And so far, this has actually been pretty easy. But now comes the hard bit, where I grind in the more delicate details and risk stuffing up this whole piece, which I'm terrified about. So I rolled a die to see which piece would be sacrificed first. Now I'm going to try and create an angled section on the side, and I can do this in 2 different
Warum so
ways.
Digga.
First, by locking the grinding face at an angle. Or I can do my favorite method, which is to lock myself at a 45-degree angle
Nein,
so
warum
I'm
denn?
consistent with my grind. And after combining the two, I created this. So then I just did the same thing on the front to create these cute little triangles, which despite my fears, actually look pretty good. So then I attempted the scariest part, which is a rounded groove cut into metal, which blacksmiths and whitesmiths like to call fullers. So I tilted the belt at this sharp angle and started.
Oh.
And while doing this, I actually found the best angle for grinding was when
Es ist schon sehr satisfying, so im Metall reinzuarbeiten, aber ich hätte Schiss, dass meine Hand einfach dagegen kommt und meine Hand einfach weggesägt wird.
place my head right here, which allowed me to see right along the face. But it also means the metal dust gets a good view of my face as well. And after all this grinding, I was starting to create a bit
Einfach auf die nackten Füße, Digga.
of mess on the floor with all these iron filings. But luckily, I had a mate who told me a tip, which was to place a bucket of water directly underneath the grinder, which is actually great as it keeps me nice and cool while doing this hot work. Okay.
Ich glaube, der zieht nur für die Filmaufnahmen kurz seine Schuhe aus.
Look pretty good.
Ich weiß nicht, ob er das die ganze Zeit im Abfuß macht, das wäre so YOLO.
Although it is starting to look more like the G word, which I'm too scared to say on YouTube. And this definitely isn't a G, it's a hammer, not illegal, and it's just a homemade, slightly a dodgy version of something I can buy from stores. So then I switched to this belt, which I found in the bin of a waxing salon. And the tiny hairs stuck to this belt give the metal a really nice finish.
Wie kommt man auf die Idee? Nice, wirklich cool. Das sieht richtig schön aus.
And look at that, I'm proud. It actually
Sieht
all looks
pretty
good
aus.
except these little overhanging lips. So I gave it a labiaplasty. Now you're probably wondering how I'm going to stick a handle on this thing.
Das habe ich mich die ganze Zeit gefragt, weil so ein Hammer hat halt auch einen Stab.
And so am I. I definitely should have planned how I was going to do that from the start, because now I'm just going to have to go with the easiest, worst option, which is most likely going to ruin all of this work. And I'm going to attempt to weld a piece of pipe here and then just shove the handle in like this. And after a quick test, cutting another piece of pipe and welding that onto another piece of metal, and then hitting that as hard as I can against an anvil.
The fuck?
I think it might hold.
Wie viele Funken auch.
So I just got a piece real hot, squished it in the vise, and then closed my eyes.
Wie viele Tools der auch hat. Es ist so cool, was er. Es ist super weird, aber es ist auch super cool, was er macht. So eine ganz weirde Mischung. Man kann irgendwie nicht. Man will weggucken manchmal, aber man
I
kann auch
really hope
nicht.
this doesn't stuff
Wisst ihr,
up.
was ich
This has
meine?
been my longest project so far and took me a crazy 13 minutes and 59 seconds to get here. And I had to sit through a Nord sponsor and 2 unskippable ads. So this better work. And after filling the piece up with about an inch of lava, the weld actually looks alright and the piece hasn't deformed. So then I cleaned off the black stuff until it was shiny again and then did some research trying to decide on the finish for this metal. And what I do like is stone washing, where you etch the metal in
Das
acid.
sieht nice aus.
Then people on the internet will get that metal and put it in a rock tumbler to get this nice looking surface which protects the metal from rust
Das sieht
and
nice
looks
aus.
rustic. And I don't have a tumbler, so I figured out another easy way to make your own. All you do is you get your metal, put it in your pocket with some stones from the garden, and then put it in the washing machine for about an hour,
Die arme Waschmaschine.
which gives you this. And I decided I don't actually like this very much, so I'm sticking with the shiny finish. But I'm also going to copy what every wog that moves to Australia does and cover pointless parts of it in gold in an attempt to make myself look more serious. Then I grabbed some oil and rubbed it all over the wood
Ich liebe diese random
before
Einspieler.
using some quick set epoxy and a bolt to lock the handle in place. Now the instructions of the epoxy don't say you have to panic, but I find I get better results if I use the wrong size bolt,
Quickly.
which I then have to cut down and then burn myself on.
Ah,
Leave.
I then like to freak out that I'm not going to get the handle in place before the epoxy sets, ruining my whole project, meaning I'm not going to be able to upload a video in time and I'm going to become irrelevant and not be able to upload on YouTube ever again. And it worked. Then I took it back
dieses Spiral kennt
to
man,
the
oder?
beautiful hairy belt to smooth it out. And I do like these hairy belts a lot. But just like the Thai place down the road, I find I get much better results when finishing by hand. And it's done.
Meinst du, das funktioniert? Es sieht auf jeden Fall über funky aus. Sieht sehr, sehr cool aus. Ich hoffe, das hält auch für seine Gesundheit. Hoffe ich, das hält. Ich hoffe, das hält.
So I decided to do one last vice test just to make sure it all still works.
3, 2, 1.
Ui. Ist der Nagel wieder an der Decke? Der dritte?
Nice. I
Die arme Decke.
don't know why I didn't place a piece of wood there or something. Let's
Schon
go
wieder.
upstairs.
Das arme Haus, Alter.
What?
Ob er die Decke schrottet.
Oh,
And I'm very, very happy with that. This thing is powerful and beautiful. Definitely the coolest thing I've ever made.
Das sieht
But
aber
I
echt
just realized
super
that the
fancy aus.
vice was
Auch diese
definitely
ganz feinen Kanten
adding
und so. Das
heaps
ist
of
saugeil.
support on the side and on the bottom of the hammer. So before I swing it by hand, I decided to put it on this rig, which perfectly recreates how my arm works.
Huch!
Which didn't work. And again.
Oh nee, sag nicht, es ist kaputt.
Then I figured out what was happening. My hammer was working in the vise, but not for the reasons I intended. I thought the nail was moving back and pushing the blank, setting it off, but that wasn't actually happening. Because I was scared and crouching down to make sure I didn't die, I was actually hitting the top of the hammer, not the nail, which meant I was squishing these two pieces of metal together, setting off the blank. So I switched to a shorter nail so that the end of the hammer would actually hit the table. And
Und? Digga, damit kannst du auf jeden Fall einige Sachen schrotten.
yes. Whoa.
alright, let's have
Was war das?
some stuff that you shouldn't be able to. Like, this fry pan.
Macht das noch mit seiner Hand? Hat einfach einen Nagel da reingehauen.
Oh my god.
the fuck?
And it smashed through that easily.
Alter, damit kannst du überall einen Nagel reinjagen. So, ey, ich habe eine Wand, da kriege ich echt keinen Nagel rein. Hold on a minute. Boom. Yo.
But it is pretty thin metal. So let's move on to some thicker metal, like this a barbecue plate, which is a centimeter
ist da mal ein Ei drauf?
and a half thick.
Machst du das noch per Hand? Das wäre krass.
3, 2, 1.
Oh nee.
Far out, that was a loud one. Okay, it's stuck. Ooh. Whoa. It is punched a clean hole. You can see the punch marks. Or the way that it kind of blew it out at the back. That is insane.
And
Alter,
after that
krass.
success, I think I'm going to take it off the rig
Uiuiui, sein Eimer.
go at hitting it myself. And I'm honestly so surprised this thing hasn't blown apart yet. And even my dodgy weld seems to somehow be holding up. So I stacked up some stuff in front of me and decided to hit this book.
Warum ist da ein Ei? Klar, das Ei im Buch, ne? Man kennt's. Oh, oh. Bitte, bitte, bitte. Pray, pray, dass da nichts schief geht. Leute, pray, pray.
Away from me. Three, 2, 1.
Oh, nichts passiert.
3, 2, 1.
Boah, Alter. Ich hätte echt Sorgen um sein Handgelenk gehabt.
It's actually fine to hold. Don't go all the way through the table.
Alter, durch den Tisch durch, Alter.
Went through the book, through the table, through this surfboard I have
Was?
here, and
Alter, Junge, das Ding hat ja hyper viel Power. Was passiert, wenn du die starken Teile da reinmachst?
out. That is insane. I'm gonna stop playing with this thing. This.
Boah, Alter, das Ding ist aber auch gar nicht so ungefährlich. Krasses Teil, ey.